Hi, welcome to part 1 of my Peaches tutorial, Mixed Media Peaches. This will probably be at least a 3 or 4 part tutorial, but I really wanted to try doing mixed media, and I had these peaches and it just took me a bit to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with them. But I finally decided to do markers and colored pencil. So that's what I did. So first I traced them with my graphite paper. If you want the tracer, I will be putting it on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/paintpartiespdx. So, and that will be free and you can find it there. And I'll probably include a supply list or an approximation of a supply list, because honestly, I was kind of just picking colors that seemed to work, and so I don't exactly remember everything that I used, but I can definitely go through and based on the video, try to figure that out. Anyway, I didn't want you guys to have to see the full to me tracing, because that's not that exciting, so that's why I sped through that, but I just traced it, basically tried to get the most important parts. Sorry, that's my phone buzzing. And the picture in the top right corner is what I was using as my reference, and I will also put the reference photo on Patreon, so you can also have that. Anyway, first thing I did was take a marker. I believe this is just sort of a medium yellow. I was trying to undo the smaller end, and I found out it was a little difficult, especially with a band-aid on your finger, but then I just kind of tried to follow the reference. And the reason for using the markers is that it makes it a lot easier to cover more surface. So it's really great to use them if you have something like this where you don't necessarily want to use your colored pencils to, do this full thing, because that would take a really long time and it would be very hard on your wrist and your hand and stuff. So this is really, really great if you want to just do this but not feel like you have to use your colored pencils the whole time. So I just tried to go in with the marker, and I am using watercolor paper. I believe it was Arteza brand, and the reason again for that is that it has more teeth, and so it absorbs the marker really well, but also allows you to go over then with the colored pencil and add in details. I might use hot press in the future because hot press is smoother, but that being said, the cold press does work. The only problem is your colored pencils do wear down more quickly because you are, using this textured paper with a lot of teeth. So just something to bear in mind, you will have to sharpen them a lot more often if you're using cold press than if you're using hot press. So I'm probably gonna maybe I won't. I was gonna fast forward through some of this stuff so you guys don't have to see all the marker drawing parts, but maybe I'll keep them up for now. Okay, so the next color I used was sort of a dark orange color, and I'm not exactly sure if this color was totally, the right color, but I after the fact, I actually do really like how it looks, as you'll see in the next video. And so that's basically what I did. I just went through and used different colors for, like with the yellow, I just went over areas that had those colors, again, to create less work for myself later. And so that's all this was. So next I went in with green because I wanted to do the same thing for the leaves. Get a nice green base down so that I could go in later with colored pencils and sort of fix details. So I went in with a green color and did that to all the leaves. There's 3 leaves in the picture. So then there was a bit of a pause while I went to go collect colored pencils. I'm still using Prismacolor colored pencils for this project. And so I went and picked those out, but there was kind of a pause there, which is why suddenly the colored pencils magically appeared on the table. So I know I should be better about like choosing colors ahead of time, or color matching, because that's what most of the artists do. But I definitely am one of those people who likes to experiment. Just grab like any color that looks good and then try it out, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But but I am trying to be better about picking colors in advance. But as you can see, I essentially grabbed, and I do have the 120, I think it's 120 set of Prismacolor, and I literally just went in and grabbed like all the oranges, all the yellows, all the reds, a couple greens, anything that looked good, and then I used it. I'm not sure what I was doing here, maybe sharpening pencils. I don't exactly know why I'm not doing anything, but I was probably sharpening pencils because some of them were pretty worn down, and as you'll see, they get very quickly worn down because of this paper. And also, I didn't do everything with the markers. I didn't do the pit. I didn't do, the background part. And that was because of all the texture on the background, but also, the texture in the pit. There are just some areas that I didn't feel would be would do well with the markers, and that's why there's no marker in those areas. Okay, I honestly don't know what I was maybe I'm about to actually do something. Let's see. Okay, thankfully I did finally pick up a pencil and start doing something. So the first thing I did was go in and kind of mark in where those sort of red-orange areas are next to the pit, if you can see them, because I just wanted to get those in because I knew I'd be putting, the yellow of the peach in, and I didn't want to cover those up. And I do sometimes like to put in the darkest colors first. And sometimes I just jump around like I did on this picture. You'll see I kind of jumped around a lot because certain areas would catch my eye, and then I decided to work on those. But in this case, I was just putting the red around the pit. Next, I grabbed like a medium brown color. I will look at my color pencil so I can actually tell you the exact colors I was using, but I believe it was sort of a reddish brown, medium brown color. And I did the pit part, or started to do the pit part, and try and block in the brown areas and the darker areas. So that's what I was doing. Next, I went in with black, and I just sort of, like I said, tried to put in the darkest areas because that does help kind of, I don't know, it's just a good way to get stuff in my opinion, is to kind of choose whatever method you like. Some people do lights first. I actually, maybe it's because the artist I learned from, colored pencils from, kind of does dark first, and she says it just kind of helps her see the values better of the rest of the painting or the rest of the drawing, what have you. And so I like to do that now too, put in the darkest values. In this case, I felt like black was a really good color for the dark areas, and there are some really dark areas in this painting. As you can see though, it's kind of hard to get as much coverage as you normally would because this paper is cold pressed watercolor, so I'm having to kind of go over things, several times, or go over them with a lot of pressure just to get the color on there. So if I had to do this over, I might actually use marker on the pit part. I kind of wanted not to, again, because of the texture, but I think it's really hard to get as much coverage down with the colored pencils on this type of paper. Now what I might do, because I'm using cold press watercolor, is I may end up going over some areas with solvent, The problem being that with the cold press, it will absorb more solvent, so you have to do like multiple layers of solvent. So I don't know if I will do that at the end, but it's possible I do that on the pit in some areas where there's no marker, but there is colored pencil. But you know, it really depends. But right now I'm just putting in the shadows because if you can see in the picture, there's a lot of shadow underneath that one peach next to the leaf. And so I just wanted to get that in. And you can see that my pencil is like wearing down so quickly. Really, really hard to maintain a lead when you're using this type of paper. It's not impossible, but it's definitely, you have to sharpen a lot more often. So. This is probably pretty self-evident, but I started putting the shadows in for the leaves because there are some really dark areas of leaves too, and so my plan was to put the black in and then go over it with green and then hopefully burnish it out later, but that's what I was doing. So now it's just shading in the core part because I needed to do that. So I guess I was adding other details as needed too, but that was the main thing, was just to start putting in the shading and stuff with the different oranges and reds. Because I wanted to start getting to the yellow part. So now we're getting into the yellow. So as you can see, I picked like a really nice golden sort of orangey yellow color for the parts of the peach flesh, excuse me. Not all of it is like that. You can see white, you can see other variations of, you know, orange, yellow, gold, but this color seemed to be the best match for the more golden yellow aspects of the peach. So I just went in and started adding those. So Okay, anyway, that's pretty much it for this first tutorial. I hope you'll join me for the rest because there are several more coming, but this is all I did for the first one. So thank you for watching.